Going on, guys?
What's up? We are live. So
Beautiful
prayerfully, we are live on all
Right, for
social
sure.
medias. This is a first go, guys. So bear with us if anything is a little shaky because we are streaming from several different things. Let me see if we at least are on
The book,
Facebook.
for sure, most definitely. All right. And hey, so also the Boss Run Inspires. Basically what that YouTube channel is where we are encouraging people, if you're an entrepreneur in any way, if you have any passions, we are just encouraging people to dig deeper into those passions because, you know, in this world, God has put all the things inside of us that we will need to be successful. So we just want to encourage you guys and support that.
Yes, so let's start with saying welcome to Christ and Coffee.
And tea.
Plus tea, that's right. And why? Because I am a coffee drinker.
And I like tea.
So for all y'all out there, hopefully you like one or the other. If not, then that is sad. What do you drink in the morning?
Yeah.
I feel like I need my little caffeine boost every single morning. But you know, water is always good too. Oh, speaking of, we don't have water.
And we don't have a water to start this out with. So I should get up now or later.
Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. We'll give him a minute. Yeah, because not everybody's on, so let's give him a second. So while he's grabbing our water, we just want to thank you guys. So, you know, Christ and Coffee is something that we did in 2015. I know some people are aware because a lot of you supported that. But we kind of stopped doing it. We did it for like maybe 5 weeks or so. We still have YouTubes, and they were very, you know, like biblical, and we prayed for, you know, our listeners, and it was really cool. But we kind of just got busy with life and nursing school and this, that, and the other, that we kind of just let it slip away. But now we feel like is a really good time to just speak life into our people, our family, our friends, our Facebook people, whatever you are to us. We just feel like speaking life is important. So that's why we are doing this whole Christ and Coffee plus tea. So you can let us know topics that you would like us to cover.
Oh, destroyed that. That was my knee, guys. Hey, TikTok. I am so sorry, TikTok. I just destroyed that. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
All right.
So let us know topics that you would like us to cover. One thing about what we will do is we will be so honest. So anything that you guys want to talk about, anything you want our opinions on.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. And we just want to give you the angle of, you know, there's always different sides and people feel different things. And, you know, a lot of people have asked how we feel about certain things. And to some people, that's important. You know, to some people it's not important, but to some, they actually genuinely care how we feel about things, how we perceive things. So we just want to give our heart's angle. We want to empower each listener along the way.
Yes. So with that being said, you know, what do we see right now constantly on like our news feeds? And trust and believe that we don't want to lose any friends by our opinions on things, but you know, just as everybody has a right to their opinions and beliefs, you know, so do we. So we just want to share those things because a lot of people have inboxed us and said, hey, what do you think, you know, about politics and where do you stand? And let us know, because we kind of walk on eggshells. We're not really verbal about it because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's kind of gotten to that point where it's like, well, what the heck? Like, we would rather be honest. If you agree with us, then awesome. If you don't, we still love you and want to be your friend. You know what I mean?
And I think I found the greatest relief with just expressing like truly what I believe. You know, I've tiptoed with politics for the last 10 years, straight up. And I just never wanted to even engage in the affairs of it because I just felt like it was messy. I felt like you can't have an opinion without being, you know, stones thrown at you. But this year, I just felt different. I said, you know, there's people speaking for me that I don't, you know, agree with. There's people speaking for us that we don't agree with. So I just want to speak from the heart of what our truth is, you know, like realizing I've had systematic racism. I've been incarcerated. I've been around these things, real life things, but I wholeheartedly believe that how we conduct ourselves does change the narrative a billion%. And I had to learn that the hard way through many years of being incarcerated, through feeling like the world was out to get me. Everybody's evil. Everything is corrupt. I'd never seen good. And that mindset literally almost destroyed my life. And so I want to encourage people that while some things may be true for sure, there is still a counterbalance for us as responsible, accountable beings that will be held accountable for each action, each word that we speak, you know, so.
And a lot of times, like we see things and we kind of just go with it. And trust me, we've been a part of that. So we're not at all, condemning anyone for jumping on the bandwagon initially. We all do it. And it's like you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's awful. And your emotions get involved and you want to do something about it. Trust me, we've actually done it.
For sure.
But what we're encouraging right now is that, especially with, voting season here and there, and that's all we hear about, is at least just do your research. Make sure that what you stand for is truly what you stand for. So I'm going to give you a little example. Back in, I believe it was like 2010, I had no clue where I stood in politics. My family had told me, you are 100% Democrat. This is why, because Democrat is for the poor and the middle class. And I'm like, oh, okay, then I guess I'm Democrat. That's all I knew, right? And I voted for Obama. And I'm just being honest. So I don't know if that would have been 2000. I don't know. You guys can correct me. I'm just saying, it's a while.
2000.
And I don't know.
It was like 2009.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, like 2010. But anyway, so I did vote for Obama, and then I ended up a couple of years later taking a political science course, and I had to for nursing. So I was like, okay, I think it was nursing or my associate's in science, whatever. I took a political science course. And they questioned me on all my beliefs. And I'm just sitting there like checking honestly, how I feel, not thinking twice about it, not knowing what my results were going to be.
Right.
And they were like, okay, my teacher was like, you are 98% Republican. What? Now, don't get me wrong. I do not walk around saying I'm Republican. I do not walk around, being like, yes, go Republicans. I'm not like that, because I don't even, like he said a million times, we're kingdom citizens.
Right.
Like we're God's children.
Right.
We don't need to walk around, standing with a party.
For sure.
However, my beliefs do align pretty close to Republican.
Right.
There are some things, and I'd be happy to talk about it later, but I'm not going to right now. But there are some things, and some people that know me really well already know what they are, that I don't feel strongly against that the Republican Party does. But with the most part, for the most part, I line up with that side. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean I'm going to go, oh, okay, go Donald Trump, go down. No, I'm going to research. I'm going to make sure that I know.
Sure. Yeah, and so basically, that's kind of what brought us to this point, is when you're voting for someone, obviously I don't really support the coin, that has caused a lot of destruction in our country. The silent battle waging left and right this whole time. But what I do align with is principles. One thing I can't refute is principles. If I ask you what type of person you are, and you begin to open your mouth and it's full of things that are like not aligned with like core principles that I agree with, if there's someone else who does align with those principles when it comes to voting for leadership, I would vote for the person, no matter who I like, who I don't like. I would vote for the person that aligns with my principles, because that's what we're talking about here. Not popularity, not who sounds the best. We're talking about principles.
Right. And not only that, but like when people pin things against certain people, and they say, okay, like, let's just throw out the example. People say, Donald Trump is racist, okay? And so we look up to find out what it is that he did or said. And I know it goes back to people saying, from 20 years ago, apartments that he rented out to Black people.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not. I feel like if we probably dug into it enough, we could probably find some, African-American people that did rent. It's hard for me to believe that he would be that dumb.
Right.
However, with that being said, the things that are held against him right now is that he said the Chinese virus, which I understand why some people would find that offensive. I really do.
Right.
But I also understand that we all say things like, I've heard, our kids are all different colors, they're beautiful. And I remember saying my beautiful brown son, and somebody got offended. Like, that's not me. I love him more than anything. I can't say, his skin is beautiful to me.
Right.
So we're going to offend people. We're going to say things. And so I'm not at all, saying, oh, he should have said that, or he should have.
Right.
But what I am going to say is, okay, if you're going to point the finger at that, that's cool. And you're going to say, and that's why I don't like him. He's a racist. So I'm going to like Joe Biden. Then let's not forget about the things that Joe Biden has said too.
You ain't black if you don't vote for Joe. I mean, that's paraphrased, but that's what he said,
He
ain't black if you don't vote for Joe. Why are we just overlooking that? And also, Joe has made multiple comments about the jungle, referring to people who are coming from urban communities and talking about mixing neighborhoods. You know, everyone has said, truthfully, everyone has said things. I'm sure that
can be offensive.
Right, probably
or
shouldn't
like
have said.
Something that you said that I find very offensive is that, you know, poor people are just as smart and just as talented as white people. Well, I know he probably didn't mean that. I'm sure he put his foot in his mouth, but what did he insinuate? That any other race besides white was poor. You know what I mean? So if I wanted to, I could really put it, but I'm just like, well, I mean, he made a mistake too, but still, again, look at his whole background. See what he's passionate for. Vote for him if that's what you feel. But don't just say, I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to vote for him. A lot of people are saying they're Democrat and they don't even know what they stand for. And I'm just saying that to be honest. I mean, I heard somebody say that Trump is the reason we wear masks.
Oh,
and I'm
so
like, Trump doesn't wear even, you know, speak again or speak for the mask. He doesn't.
He don't even wear a mask. Sometimes he don't even be wearing a mask.
And I know firsthand that he puts his foot in his mouth a lot.
For sure.
There's a lot of times I'm like, he should not say that. But with that being said, I'm still going to look at his entire, you know, his purpose for why he wants to run for president, what he has done for our country, what he's continuing to do for our country. He does love our country. There's a lot he's done for the African American population, and I don't think people look into that enough to see. So that's it for the politics.
For sure. Oh yeah, most definitely. So let's continue rolling forward. So with that being said, that's why we're going Trump 2020. I was not going to vote. You know, I was not going to vote. But now I realize the importance of voting. I realize the importance of at least verbalizing how I don't believe that Trump is my savior. I do wholeheartedly believe that when you're choosing between A or B for leadership of the country, Trump takes the cake hands down. And I'm sorry if anyone gets offended.
And tell us what, since you being, you know, an African American male, and you know, you had a history with run-ins with the police. Can you tell us? And I know you've had a live recently, but can you tell everybody like what you feel about racism, even from, you know, your childhood to now?
Yeah, for sure. So I moved to Monroe from Detroit, basically. When I was a young kid, and we were exposed to authentic racism, right? There was, I think, only 5 Black people who went to our school out of the whole school district. You know, like out of the whole Jefferson School District, there was only like 5 Black people, including my family. And so we went through racism. We seen the hangman on the walls, the blatant N-words being written, and all this stuff. We seen the parents who was like snarl at us and teach their children this hatred. So we experienced authentic racism firsthand. And I wholeheartedly believe that racism is just hatred. It's confused hatred. You know, it's lack of self identity, and it's lack of love for others, right? And I don't get that same exact feeling when I hear Donald Trump speaking. It seems as if he is for, the economy. Our economy increased like it never increased before. Never has our economy been as strong as it was for the Black community and for all of the community of America. So basically, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, and with that being said, we understand that racism is
it's real.
So we're not going to say, you know, I was one of the first ones when the Ahmaud Arbery thing took place. I was very upset. I was passionate. I went and ran for him, and I don't regret that. The only thing that I would encourage, though, is like certain things have happened since then, certain cases that we just got so angry about and so mature. And when you actually look back to what I'm starting to do is if I see something, I say, okay, that frustrates me. I see that does make me upset, but I want to find out everything. I want to know what happened leading up to that, what happened after that, who was involved, what's the backstory. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you find out a lot more when you do that. That's like, oh, well, and it kind of will start to make sense. Doesn't justify any killings of anybody. Doesn't justify even, you know, arrests at times. However, it will make you at least kind of be more understandable to the police's role in it, so to say. And another example on the flip side, because a lot of people think that, you know, if you stand with one side or the other, then you have to be, like, for example, you're a Republican if you don't want to wear your mask. And you're a Republican if you don't stand for Black Lives Matter. And you are a Democrat if you know, take COVID super seriously. But I honestly think those comments and phrases are dumb.
Right.
That doesn't make me at all.
It's like stereotype.
It is. And like, I believe Black Lives Matter. Right. I don't run around talking about the organization so much. I don't sit here and, you know, wear it on my shirt, but I'll go stand up for certain things that I should stand up for, such as things in our community that's current, that's, you know, something that I'm knowledgeable about, that I know. I'm not going to just jump on a bandwagon and go, I'm never going to loot. I'm never going to riot, period. But then on the other side, I see this video circulating right now. So I'm going to be really, really honest. Like I said, raw honesty is what we have.
This is the flip side. So you hear us talking about what we don't stand for with Democrats, but now we're going to go to the Republican side, just so it's balanced. Everything deserves
proper balance. We're honest, and I don't have to jump on bandwagons, and I'm not going to. For sure. So, you know, there's this woman that they show her getting arrested for not having her mask on at a football game. Well, that's what they say. So the video says, all for not wearing her mask. And you see this officer come up, and you can't really tell that he's a police. I'm not 100% sure he's a police officer, if he's a security guard. Maybe security guard. But he had handcuffs, and he's trying to handcuff this lady. Have you guys seen it circulating or not? I mean, it's been all over. And she's freaking out. Well, what are you doing?
Nah, I'm going with you.
Yeah, get off me. You're hurting me. Flipping out. And so I'm watching the whole time. Everybody's outraged. She don't have to wear a mask. This is bullcrap. Look what they're trying. Hold up. We do not know what happened before that. Did they ask her to leave? Maybe she wasn't on the list. Right now, we know our kid is in football. We have to sign in when we get there. Did we wear a mask? Yeah, because it's the rules. Freaking follow the rules. Yeah, for sure. It's not that hard. I don't care. I'm sorry. I think it's it's a baby excuse to say, I'm not ever wearing a mask. I think that's kind of childish. It's going against the rules. You don't want anyone else to do that, but we're going to do it over mask. Why? It's respectful for us to do it. Just do it. However, when I get in and I sit down, if I want to slide the mask on, guess what? I do it. But if they come up to you and they say, hey, ma'am, you need to put your mask on. Okay. If they come and say, if you don't put your mask on, we are going to ask you to leave. I will make a mask out of grass, like whatever it takes, because I don't want to be asked to leave. I don't want to cause what's the difference? To me, if you're going to cause a disruption, you're going to go against the law. Let's not say one way is wrong and the other way isn't. I get it. This sucks that we all have to wear a mask. However, so does COVID suck. COVID sucks.
I mean, a lot of things suck in this world. We can't just boycott everything that sucks. And this is how I look at it, right? So yeah, wearing the mask while you're working is a total different thing, right? If you're working for 12 hours and you're doing a very hard, laborious job and you got to wear a mask, that's detrimental to your health. Period. But if I'm like, hey, I'm having a birthday party, I'm gonna have some people here. I need everyone to wear a mask. If you do come, if you show up to my house talking about I ain't gotta wear a mask, it's my right. I'm just gonna say, bro, can you just leave then? Because you've seen the rules before you came here. We're going into these places.
And it's nationwide, guys. Like, it's not just people picking and choosing. Like, we've decided as a country finally that everybody's gonna do this, and so let's just do it. Like, it does suck, but eventually, we shouldn't have to anymore. So why? So my point is, like, this lady, they're telling her to take off, or that she's got to leave. She's saying no. They go to arrest her. She freaks out. She literally resists arrest. And I get it why some people are like, if that was a Black person, they would have been shot. You know what I mean?
Something could have happened. For sure.
We don't know. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure that he's a real officer, so maybe he didn't have a gun. I don't know. But it's bothersome that we are so quick to jump on that opposing side. I just think sometimes we need to take a minute, look at the entire circumstance, make a judgment, but know what we feel. Know facts. Because sometimes you look up facts and you're blown back.
Facts are totally different than the narrative naturally pushed. And that's something that really actually kind of offset me. There was a time 4 months ago where I was super angry. I mean, I was livid. When all this stuff originally started coming out at a heavy, I was probably wrecked for like 30 days where I was actually frustrated. Remembering all the times I was locked up, remembering how I felt, feeling as if I was inferior to police or police looked down on me. That anger resurfaced after all these videos started coming out. And I had to realize that I came from there. So I know what it's like. If an officer tells you put your hands behind your back, where I came from, you don't get to say no or put your hands away or anything like that. You don't get to lock your doors or anything. Like, I'm seeing these people who are being asked by officers to do something, comply in some way, shape, or form. And now all of a sudden we just want to yell, I know my rights. You can't do this to me. where I came from, if an officer approached you, you just have to submit to the law. And if you're innocent, then in court.
Where he came from, because he has military background, like his, father is in the military, so like he was raised. I was raised. Same as me.
Yeah, structure, authority. Have respect for authority, even if authority is wrong. And I
which
think,
is the case, for sure.
I think that's what we're getting twisted at. Is we think that if we think they're wrong, we can say, you can't talk to me, you can't touch me, you can't tell me. And truthfully, they're already in the position of power. And when you're in a position of power, what you don't want is someone to go against that. And if we know that, why would we challenge them? I'm saying that's why we're having all this chaos, because we're not thinking, we're knowing, but we're not thinking. We're not using wisdom. We're not applying it. And what's great about this country, I did see someone say, when's America great? Look, America, the corporation is different than the land, right? I love the land here. I understand the corporation upon its foundation had some screws loose in how they structured it. It was not equal for all men, for sure. Blacks, minorities were 3/5 of a man. So I'm not saying the corporation has always been the greatest. What I'm saying is this is the greatest land to ever live in. This is the land of the free and home of the brave. There's no question about that. I didn't change my whole life. Full 360, and guess what? Nobody stopped me. Why? Because I live in the land of the free and home of the brave. If you set your mind to something, you can accomplish it. And the reason why we're failing is because we're not setting our minds to it. We're allowing our minds to be controlled by the enemy, by the oppressor. We're doing exactly what the enemy would want, us freaking out, burning things. And then what happens? We get thrown in jail. People are getting arrested every single day from these riots, all this stuff going on. Now your record is being affected. And most people don't think about that. Your record is being affected. Your future is being affected. I still, 10 years later, from my assaultive incident with police officers, I still sometimes have to answer to that. People don't understand that this stuff don't just go away in a moment. We have to live with what we do. We have to live with what we say. So we want to encourage you to make sure that your words and your conduct is appropriate in the land and the times that we live in.
And I love that you talked about a mind shift, because I think that's really the most important thing that we can gather from all of this, is recognizing that when your mind is centered on the truth, when your mind is centered on, the grace of God, the kingdom, and this is obviously, like, if you don't believe, then you can still get something out of this, because even just being in truth, just truth, period, like knowing truth, understanding truth, to us, obviously, it's the kingdom of God. That's our truth. That's what we live on. That's what we base our decisions on. That's what that's all we have. That's all we can rely on. That's the only thing that doesn't shift, that doesn't change. That's always never ending. That's the same.
And what is the kingdom? The kingdom of God is just the principal foundation of the kingdom of light, which basically is like love. Like love conquers all. Love casts out fear. True love is the way to go. And what that means is, while there's racial tension, if I see a brother on the side of the road, white, black, Jamaican, anything along the sort, if I see someone, I will most definitely sit down.
Not just a race, but maybe somebody who's gay or somebody who's
especially
demonic,
anywhere.
That's right.
In living outside of the kingdom of God, or someone who may need a encouraging word or a touch or something empowering or inspiring.
That's our job.
The kingdom of God empowers us. Amen. And it quickens our mind and our heart to walk according to the principles of Christ, which is, if someone is in need of drink, we give them drink. If someone is in need of a meal, we give them something to eat. If someone is just in need of a ride, we give them a ride. Like if someone is in need of just an ear, we give them an ear. If someone's in need of a heart, we give them our heart, and we hear them out with understanding.
And if we're living by the biblical principles, and if we're really walking in the kingdom, then we also have to remember that forgiveness is a big thing. And if we're holding grudges on people day after day, and we're waking up mad about a Facebook post, and we're waking up angry because a fellow Christian doesn't believe the same way that we do, then I'm sorry, but that's wrong. How should we get forgiven if we can't forgive others? And forgiving should be a daily thing, you guys. It's not, and it doesn't mean somebody has to apologize. No. You don't have to wake up and be like, well, I'm still waiting on that apology. Like, guess what? That's bitterness in your heart.
The apology may never come. The apology may never come physically from their mouth, but it's got to manifest in our hearts first. In our spirit, in our hearts, our minds. Because otherwise, it's a ball and chain, and it becomes a weight on your back, in your mind.
So regardless of where you stand, politically and what you want to happen in November and what way where your heart is right now, we would encourage you to wake up every morning and just try to offer some forgiveness to those. I'm sure when you think of somebody that you kind of feel harsh towards or some negativity against, some names pop into your head, and shoot, we could be the names. I don't know, but whatever it is, just say, you know what, I want to forgive those people. I don't want to hold on to that, because holding on to things in our heart, it hurts us. The bitterness and the rage. And trust me, we're only speaking from experience. Right. Yeah. We've learned as we go. Yes, like we've been in that rut where we were hateful and angry, and it wasn't that long ago.
And if you say that this world is like corrupt and all this stuff, trust me, like we were there. We wholeheartedly felt like it was hopeless. Yeah. And that hopelessness, it created like a burning anger, a burning rage, a burning hate. That stuff is just not healthy for us. It's not healthy. There's no solution in that. All we want to do is just lash out, and that is not healthy. That's not wise, and we're not going to be able to empower the next generation of people by showing them that we just will, if we don't like something, we can kind of just destroy or do whatever we want. That's just not the way that our children are going to have life more abundantly. They need to see structure. They need to see morality. They need to see principles. And
love overall, because even if we bring in the Bible, like talking about Jesus' one commandment was to love. And there was no ifs, ands, and buts about that. It wasn't like, well, unless. It was just like, no, just love one another, show love to one another. He healed everyone. So we talk about like healing like it's basically non-existent, and that's not the case. Like God passed that mantle, Jesus passed that mantle to us, because he wants us to love our brothers and sisters, help them to forgive. That's all a part of even healing. And we don't really look at it like that, but it's biblical.
And something that I learned is, it's just as she said, when it came to my ACL being healed, right? Forgiveness is a key that unlocks God's healing, right? I had no clue about that. So no matter what you are, no matter what you're going through, if you're praying to God for something, but you have some heavy things against your brother, the Bible says don't stop praying. It says don't even pray. It says go make things right with your brother first, and then come back and pray. That's what the Bible says. If you have any bitterness in your heart, it says stop praying, go right the wrong so God can hear you. Because how can he heal you or forgive you if you're holding on grudges to someone else? It doesn't work like that. And this is God's kingdom. He makes the rules. We don't get to make the rules. Christ makes the rules for his kingdom.
And we have to remember that if we're in any type of leadership, even if it's just on Facebook, you guys, that's so important. Like we don't realize like our leadership, and I'm not saying we always get it right. No, obviously, sure. I'm the first one that'll make a post and be like, what, I think I'm going to delete that. I don't know that did anything positive for anybody, but it seems like people like it because I'm a little feisty today, but it's like, well, I want to be recognized for my fruit. So the thing that we have to remember is if we are in any type of leadership, people are watching us. What we are displaying of God? Sure. Is it positive? Is it nourishment? Is it food? Is it going to help people? Yeah. We have to think about that, because there are times that our words can actually affect the next person and we don't even realize it. And so it's like, we have to stay constant. We have to stay true. And that's why we're so honest, because it's like, for what? Like, we're just people. Right. So we're not going to pretend that we got it all together by any means. Could we be wrong? Yeah. Sure. Politically, do we have it all together? Heck no. But what I can tell you is that we've done research. Right. We really understand what politically, what left and right is, what conservative versus liberal is. You have to understand that stuff to go vote. Yes, I encourage everybody go vote, but please don't vote based on what your friends are doing, based on what you hear somebody that you look up to is doing. At least do your own research and make sure, and don't just judge it on what the news says, because as we all know, there's biases. Don't just focus on a YouTube video. Do you know how easy it is to click little parts and be like, this is what he was saying? Right. I'm sorry, but they do it to Trump all the time, and it blows my mind. I'm like, really? That's what I wish I could think of one of the good ones.
Oh yeah, well they'll just like cut like 2 seconds out and be like, look at what he said.
And we're like, well, so we go look at it, we watch the entire video, and then you realize it had nothing to do with that. That's upsetting. And I'm sorry, but that's also bullying. If we're not going to teach our kids to bully, and we're going to actually discipline our kids for bullying, which we have done, because do kids fail? Absolutely. But you know, why are we doing it?
Right.
Why are we calling him the orange man, the Oompa Loompa, the, you know, talking about his hair?
I mean, says he talks dumb. I would rather, I'll be straight, I'd rather a man who kind of,
right, like, get off it.
I would rather, I would rather someone who might mess up a few times in him talking during his talks.
During his speech,
Right, and it actually be coming from his brain and his mouth, than someone who says the perfect thing because they're reading a teleprompter. And unfortunately, we're just about reality. We're not about this, you know, cake and ice cream. Like, that's just life.
Or someone who's so programmed that you're like, man, I can't imagine them cussing. I don't even think that they
super super programmed. Only respond when the cameras are on.
And you know, be real. Like, I would rather you make some mistakes. I would rather you be a normal person than, you know, to be like, I don't even know anything really about you. You're just telling me what I want to hear. You know,
sure. If you're telling me what I want to hear long enough, I should realize those hot waffles in the forest came from somewhere. I should not just walk up and stick my face on that plate because where'd they come from? You know,
like there's got to be a catch. So we wanted to take, because what are we in? Is it 30 minutes?
25, yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit, and then we're gonna try to answer some of the questions.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot, but
oh, hold on one second, real quick. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this live stream, go to our YouTube channel, thebossgrind.com, because that is for the Boss Grind where we're streaming from. Also, if you type in on Google, thebossgrind.com, right, it's going to take you to our website. We're going to be hosting a lot more streams on our website because we understand that Facebook and these social medias are not always supportive of this type of narrative, this type of truth. So so you guys can go to thebossgrind.com and also YouTube, The Boss Grind. You'll find us, Kyla and Adina Buckley, and we appreciate you guys tuning in thus far.
So since we have TikTok going on too, this is a new live streaming for us, so I do want to kind of answer the question.
For sure.
So
someone said, who are you voting for?
So we with long, you know, with long. Well, no, there's no debates. What do I say? With long time research. Because we obviously do not stand for any racism or any hate, and we know where we stand politically as far as views. And from the research that we have done, from all of the different speeches that we've watched, and just, you know, just everything that we've looked up on our own accord, not just based on what we've seen, we are actually voting 100% right. Yeah.
And this is my first time ever vocalizing. I was not even gonna vote.
And well, the thing is, this is why he was never gonna vote, because he was like, well, I'm a kingdom citizen, I don't need to vote, I don't want to vote. But I'm like, okay, so all the time we talk about all these political things, and I know where he stands with gun laws, I know how he feels with abortion, you know what I mean? I know how he feels about religious freedom. And so just like with a lot of my friends, like it's like I hear people talk and I'm like, I know where you stand, and I know how this test would lay out if you would take one and figure out where you stand. But you know, I know you don't want to recognize that, but I would like you to see that. And so eventually he's like, yeah, you know, I'm definitely standing with right. I'm like, I don't know how that is. He's like, but I'm not voting. I'm like, yes, you are actually. You are voting, and this is why. I said, if you don't vote, then you're giving the other party to vote, and that is not okay. He's like, no, I'm not.
Right, for sure. And I wasn't gonna vote, honestly, because, you know, I just didn't want to get involved in the affairs of the world, you know, like that. But I didn't want to make it like, because I stand for God's kingdom, so I didn't want to make it like I'm also, you know, saying, oh, God's kingdom is for this. That's not. I'm deciding as a human being that lives in America, Donald Trump is the best president as opposed to Joe Biden.
Right.
Outside of that, spiritually, soulically, mentally,
I mean, I would personally love Candace Owens to be
and that's another thing. We came with Candace, Candace be on point.
She knows her stuff.
And she came from where we came from. So for people who say, oh, she don't speak for us, listen, you don't speak for me. I'm gonna say that. Candace speaks for me more than you speak for me. I'm gonna say that because that's someone who
somebody asked how you feel about climate change.
So I definitely feel like climate change is something that's vastly taking place, especially when you look at how the icebergs are melting and, you know, the water mass is increasing, gases are enhancing. I definitely believe that the climate is changing, but I also believe that the climate is changing because our solar system just recently changed. Like, we had some new planets that entered our system, and it was just recently released a few days ago where there are natural major changes that are taking place. So I do believe that climate change is for sure real, but I don't think it's to the point where we shouldn't be having airplanes and all this stuff. This is where our world is going. Convenience is what we've asked for, and convenience is what we now have. So unfortunately, there are balances that come with that. And I also think that spraying the skies, I think that's really destroying our climate also. I mean, our skies are sprayed all day.
And this is the stuff I don't really pay attention to. I call him my conspiracy theorist.
For sure,
but I love him, and he's right. I mean, a lot of times he shows me things, I'm like, oh my gosh.
And it's like right in plain sight.
It's just not an interest of mine. Like, I'd rather look into the political side.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to talk about that stuff, because that's really not even like my center focal point of the system. I love America.
But it's still interesting.
Right. Yeah. I love the land inside of the United States. I understand America, the corporation.
Evil.
Right.
We know that.
For sure.
There's no doubt that the world, it's biblical. Once again, we know that the world is not a good place. And that's another thing. It is not up to us to decide if Donald Trump is a Christian.
No, for sure.
We don't really know.
Right.
All we know is that we line up with the things that he is fighting for and against. And honestly, you'd be surprised.
Right. You might too.
What things that, if you're against Donald Trump and you think it's because he's racist, I really, really encourage you to look into that whole thing, to look into all of it from the beginning to the end. Look into what he's done for the Black community. Look into what he said that is racist. You'd be surprised at things that are getting brought up versus the things that we've literally witnessed from other candidates.
And I've been around some outright vocal racists. You know what I'm
even
saying?
Homophobic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna just throw that one out there. He's definitely not. He actually is the one Republican that didn't have an issue with people marrying whoever they want to marry. He said that wasn't a huge thing to him. However, I don't know if you know, but Obama, on the other hand, was against it in the beginning of his term, completely against it. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of my friends that are, gay, and they're like, he's homophobic. He's not though. Like, you guys need to really, okay, are you a counselor or something? No, we're not counselors. We're just people.
We're real life people that just have opinions and belief systems that aren't vocalized very much. And I was locked up for a very long time. I had a terrible past, and I think my past actually shaped my future, because I now realize the reason why a lot of us are erring is because we don't realize the systems that are in place and the principles inside the systems that will lead to success and that will also lead to failure.
And honestly, it's cool that you asked that about us being counselors, because that's the thing. Like, we find why we decided to do this, guys, why we're doing Price and Coffee plus tea, why this is our new little.
And my tea is.
My coffee's so good. It's got Cinnabon creamer in it too. So
I do have a small cup of coffee I'm about to grab.
So these are our cups today. Ooh, don't mark down the again, please.
Oh, that was.
Don't do it. Just say we're not going to do it.
All right. I wanted to grab my cup right there.
Okay, honey, but then just don't mark it down.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get rid of this cup, even though this cup's cool. I got a better one.
I'm sorry. Okay, so to backtrack, the whole reason we decided to do Price and Coffee plus tea again, because we launched this in 2015 and we just brought it back. So the reason why is because we, have messages back and forth with a lot of individuals who we love to work with and help along the way of life, for whatever that may look like and be. I lead Bible study with women. So if you guys are interested in a Bible study with women, then let me know, because it's on Facebook, but even for my TikTok people, you guys can join us on there.
Yeah, for sure.
But we take leadership very seriously. And so we figured, let's do something like this so that it can be almost like a godly talk show, so to say. We're not trying to keep it real political. We're not, guys. The only reason we brought up a lot of politics is because that is what is being asked of us lately. And a lot of people don't really understand how we can lean at all to the right because our kids are mixed, because he's mixed, and they just don't understand that. And so we have to enlighten people with the truth, because we never want people to think that we're not educated, because we are, and we did take the time to research. And unfortunately, you can tell with a lot of, posts and comments that people make, you can tell immediately if they're educated or not. And that's not an insult. It's really not. Like, I'm not educated at all when you start talking about the heat and the climate change. I have no idea. So I'm not going to speak on that because I'm not educated in it. You know what I mean? But ask me something about nursing and I'll tell you the truth,
Yeah, for sure.
So we decided to do this just to put our brains together, just to let you guys in on how we really feel, and hopefully encourage you guys, you know, more to just be who you are.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. Because it was so hard for me to suppress the fact that like the beliefs that I have with the Republican Party. It was actually hard for me to press those, because when people are talking about, yeah, we need to defund the police, and yeah, we don't need guns. And I'm like, whoa, I'm trying to protect my family here.
Right.
You know,
And how do you do both? So
Yeah.
we can't have guns, but then you can't call the police when you need help.
Right.
Having discussion is educational, so it's good to talk on these things. I agree
We
so
agree,
much.
for
Someone
sure.
also asked about abolished.
Planned Parenthood. And so as far as abolishing Planned Parenthood, I do understand that when we're talking about how much, you know, lives matter, if we're talking about lives matter, you know, over 10 million babies are aborted like a year. So we're losing a whole lot of people that could potentially be lives that actually matter. I mean, they should matter. Some people don't think that they're lives, but they should matter. I definitely think Planned Parenthood, I think it's important to Planned Parenthood for sure, which is safe sex and things like that. But as far as the organization goes, you know, if they're looking to push laws of aborting a baby at 8 months after being born, I don't think that's cool. I think that that's terrible. I think that that's brutal murder. I don't think there's any logical explanation, humanistic explanation for that. And I think that if something happens in the beginning and maybe, you know, you're raped or something and you don't want to have that child and it's the first few weeks or month, and I know this is a tough subject, but if something like that happens, that's understandable. If you say, this is not my child, I don't even know, you know, that's understandable. But when you're waiting 9 months, the baby's born, you're talking about a human being. So
we are pro-life, obviously,
sure.
But we are understanding of, you know, situations. We're not going to judge anybody, you know, and we also believe that, you know, we understand why there are abortion clinics in the world. However, we believe it shouldn't be so easy. It shouldn't be so easy for people to get repeated abortions, for people to, you know, go, like you said, at the 8th month, 9th month, I'm sorry, but that's a baby. Like that, they're moving. I watched a video and I literally will never let that image leave my mind. And it was like a baby with legs and arms, and they went to grab the baby and it was kicking and pulling away. And I'm like, how can someone say that's not a life? That baby was fearful. It knew, you know what I mean? And so when it gets to that point, it's like, come on, guys, like it's, you know, it's sad. And it doesn't mean, like I said, that we would judge anybody that has made a decision like that. If anything, we'd pray for you, because I'm sure that that's got to break your heart. That has to break your heart. But we aren't judgmental on that. But yes, they are 100% pro-life. For sure. For sure. Okay. And let's see, anything else that we want to add?
Yes. Once again, guys,
we have like 5 different streaming things, guys. So sorry if we didn't answer your questions, but we will go back and answer them.
For sure. And again, if you guys do enjoy these topics and conversations, because we understand social media is not always going to allow them, we have a website called thebossgrind.com. When you go to it, you can sign up, drop your email address, so that way we can let you know when we're going live for the future. So that is thebossgrind.com, and it sounds exactly the way that it's spelled, or it's spelled exactly the way that it sounds. Also, if you go on YouTube, you can look up Kyle and Adina B, or look up The Boss Grind. For our YouTube channel, we will be going live very regularly.
Well, this is what we wanted to ask, because we were considering going every Friday. So we kind of want to know, our listeners, if you guys, you know, feel like you would listen in every Friday. We were considering every other, but every time we say every other for anything that we do, people are like, that's too long in between. So we would like to keep it consistent and have a Friday morning show, you know, with you guys. Plus, you can tell us what topics you want covered. You know, we covered something that's popular right now, you know, we covered, and we just want to put it out there right from the get. Please don't hate us because of our political beliefs. Please don't look at us any differently.
We're not even in politics like that.
No, we just know where we stand.
It's just principles. We're just aligning ourselves up with principles, not parties and stuff like that. It's principles. If you believe that we should have be able to have our gun, if you aren't for the, you know, 3rd-term abortions, if you I mean, there's like 10 things that I could name off. And when we see those things, we're like, well, yeah, it's no brainer, you know? So that's all we're voting on, is our principles that we are convicted for. We're convicted for
lines up with us, right? And like, you know, a lot of people, like, guns are important to us. We think police are important, you know, like those things. matter to us.
And someone who's saying pro-choice doesn't mean pro-abortion. Look, we're not super political, okay? We're just basically saying that we value life. We value life in all forms. I value the old homeless man on the side of the road just like I value the newborn baby. Like, we understand the spectrum, and we are just saying that we're pro living life.
And we believe there should be a lot of, rules and regulations when it comes to abortion. It shouldn't be so easy. We know that, not to say anything, but we know that, is it Kamala Harris or whatever, that she's for, aborting up until like the 9th month. And we think
I know they said 8 minutes after birth.
After birth.
They voted for it. How can we be affiliated with stuff after birth? That's called murder. If a father shaking baby syndrome kills a baby or something, it don't matter if it's 1 day old or a week. Murder is murder.
I will say, I don't know if this is what you're leaning towards, but I will say, like, I think health department is a wonderful thing. I've used the health department. I love that they, provide condoms for young, and that they will even have kids have the choice for birth control. A lot of people are super against birth control. I'm not. I think birth control is different to me than an abortion. That's preventative measure. That's not, killing the baby after the baby's already.
You're planning.
They're planning.
This is planning.
So if you're asking about that, no, I'm not against. I don't feel conviction towards birth control. I don't. I think it's actually, a wonderful thing. I know it's not the safest. I'd rather not, but I'm not against that. And that's just my personal, from a woman's point of view, that's just my personal opinion.
Men can't really have opinions on that. Even if it's a little man baby in the belly. You know what I'm saying? Men still can.
But we don't want to keep you guys too long. Please type in your topics, type in your questions. Let us know if you think we should go every Friday or every other.
For sure. And if you guys do 2 times a week, also let us know. Because on our YouTube channel, I am planning on, first, we are getting our YouTube channel monetized, right? And we got to have 4,000 watch hours. We would much rather have a platform where people enjoy hearing what we're saying, as opposed to being on social medias always, where people might not want to hear this. So we're going to gravitate towards those spaces, because that's an environment where you guys can speak freely and not have to feel like, stones thrown at you if you don't agree,
And she said she feels the same. See, that's not what I've read, but I will research that more. Sure. Thank you for letting me know that you think that Trump is trying to take away that from many young people. So, I will look into that, because I will not sit here and say, oh no, I know. I will check. So thank you so much, because, I think that would be risky grounds to take that away from, especially like our 15, 16-year-olds, that no matter how much we preach abstinence, that sometimes they don't listen to us. And so I get what you're saying, and I will. And that's the cool thing about us, guys. We're super open-minded. If you bring something to us, we will look into it. We're just not going to do the opposite. We're not going to just jump on a bandwagon and be like, oh, since you guys said it, we're going to run with it. And that's how we feel, because we've been guilty of doing that and then found out we were wrong.
Feelings
and I don't want to do that.
The heart can be very deceptive.
Deceiving.
It really can be deceptive, especially when the mind is not in alignment with truth. And so the heart can be very deceptive, and we had to learn from actually, engaging in these things, falling into so many snares over the years, that you can't always follow your heart. You can't even always follow your gut, because our gut be wanting to eat all the time. Our gut be, you need to use wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and apply them practically to the life that we live, if we want to have success in this land, So
we want to thank you guys all, and just so you know too, if you're in the Monroe, Michigan area, we are certified. We are certifying for CPR, BLS. So if you guys need your certification, who to hit up to. I'm going to throw that little blurb in there. But besides that, we love you all.
For sure.
God bless.
Go to thebossgrind.com and leave your email so we can contact you and let you know next time we're going live.
Christ and coffee.
You
switched the cups up.
Dang, look, it says best coffee ever. I'm the youngest grandpa in America right now. 28, youngest grandpa ever.
All right. Love you guys. Peace. Can you hit those? Because I don't reach your
Yes, I can.
hit my phone too.
Boom. All right, we can say bye.
Be back.